Hello, in this series we are going to discuss major national and international rivers, and in this particular lecture we are going to discuss river Indus. Let's see past year questions. In 2020 there was a question. On one side they gave rivers and on other side we had to identify where the river flows into. In 2019 there was a question. On one side they gave glaciers and we had to identify from which glacier the river is originating. In 2019 again there was a question. On one side they gave places of cultural significance and on other side we had to identify the places associated with them. And in 2017 there was a very detailed question on river Tista. So considering these questions we can identify the pattern on which the questions on rivers are asked. First they can ask the origin of river, then the flow of river can be asked. Then the tributaries of rivers can be asked. Then they also ask the cultural significance. Sometimes the environmental aspects are also asked. And sometimes we need to know the dams on the rivers if the dams are in news. So let's dive into river Indus. Indus is the northernmost river in India and it is flowing between, as you can see here, the Karakoram range and the Ladakh range, and Indus is flowing more closely to the Ladakh range than the Karakoram range. So if we see the origin of river Indus originates in the Tibet region, that is the Manasarovar region, and the exact origin is the Bokhar Chu glacier, which is in Manasarovar and in Kailash mountain range. So this is where Indus originates. It flows through Tibet region. Then it enters Ladakh region at a point called Demchok. This is in Ladakh. Indus flows through Tibet, enters Ladakh at a point called Demchok. Then it flows through Ladakh region. This is the Ladakh region. It comes to Leh, and Leh is the only place through which Indus flows in India. So out of the total 2,880 kilometer of the flow of Indus, it flows in India for only 709 kilometer. So Leh is the place in India through which Indus flows. Then it flows towards Kargil. Near Kargil it flows. Then it flows in the Baltistan region through the town of Skardu. Then in the town of Hunza. Then Gilgit, it takes a sharp southwestern turn, and it crosses the Greater Himalayas here, crosses the line of control, enters Pakistan, takes a southern turn, and flows through Muzaffarabad in Pakistan, and then drains into the Arabian Sea. Before draining into the Arabian Sea, it is joined by Chenab. So this was in general the flow of river Indus. Let's look into it in more detail. So Indus originates in Tibet and there it is known as Singhi Khamban, which also means the lion's mouth. As it enters Ladakh region and it flows through India, it is known as the Sindhu in India. So we got two names for Indus, Singhi Khamban and Sindhu. As it come towards Leh, it is joined by its first tributary, that is river Zanskar. So Zanskar is the first tributary that joins Indus. And Zanskar flows entirely through the Ladakh region. The point at which Zanskar is joining Indus is Nemo. It's a small place in Ladakh. After this, Indus is joined by river Zanskar. It is flowing through Leh and it is continuing its northwestern flow. Then it flows through the near Kargil, and before it reaches Skardu, it is joined by other two important rivers, that is river Shyok. This is river Shyok and river Nubra joins river Shyok. So Indus is joined by river Shyok and Nubra near the town of Skardu. So this Shyok river originates from Remo Glacier and Nubra originates from the Siachen Glacier. The Shyok River is flowing through the Shyok Valley in Ladakh and it is joining river Indus. Similarly, Nubra is joining Shyok first and then the combined river is joining Indus near the town of Skardu at a point called Keris. As Indus continues its northwestern course, it is again joined by river Hunza. Hunza is a river in this Gilgit Baltistan region. So Hunza is coming from Karakoram range. Then after Indus is joined by Hunza, it is flowing through the town of Gilgit and here river Gilgit is joining Indus. So Gilgit joins Indus at a place called Jaglot and Gilgit is originating from Shandur Lake. After Indus is joined by Gilgit, it is crossing the Greater Himalayas and it is crossing the line of control also and it is flowing into Pakistan. So the point where Indus enters Pakistan, this is a place called Chiller in Dardistan. After it enters Pakistan, it is flowing through Muzaffarabad in Pakistan and then draining into the Arabian Sea. Before it drains into the Arabian Sea, it is joined by other tributaries of river Indus, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. So that was the general flow of river Indus and five important tributaries that we have seen. We have seen the Zanskar river. This is the first tributary to join Indus. Then Shyok and Nubra are joining Indus. Hunza is joining Indus. Gilgit is joining Indus. These are the five tributaries that we have seen. Now another five tributaries of Indus are Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. Let's look into that. So river Jhelum is originating from a spring at Verinag. So this is in Anantnag district of Jammu and Kashmir. So Jhelum is originating from Verinag in Anantnag district of Jammu and Kashmir. This is where Jhelum is originating. After originating, Jhelum is passing near Srinagar and it is also passing, as you can see, through the Vular Lake. After it passes through the Vular Lake, it is entering into the region of Pakistan and it is taking then a deep southern turn, passes through Pakistan and then it joins river Chenab at a point called Trimu. And then the combined Jhelum and Chenab river is flowing through Pakistan, and draining into the Arabian Sea. This point Panjad is a point where river Ravi and Satluj, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj are meeting at this point called Panjad, and it is in Mithankot in Pakistan. So the important points to be noted in the flow of in the flow of Jhelum are its origin, which is at Verinag. It passes through Villar Lake. The projects which are on Jhelum and which are in news are the Kishanganga project. It is on river Jhelum. It is a hydel project and it is located in Bandipora district of Jammu and Kashmir. So that was all about Jhelum. Now we come to Chenab River. So river Chenab. Okay, the names, other names for Jhelum are, it is also called Vitesta. And the other names for Chenab are, it is called Asikni. It is a name given to Chenab in Rigveda, or it is also called Chandrabhaga because it is formed by the confluence of river Chandra and Bhaga. So Chandra river and Bhaga river meet at a point in Himachal Pradesh, which is called Tandi in Himachal Pradesh, to form river Chenab. Chandra river originates from, this is river Chandra Bhaga. Chandra originates from Chandratal and Bhaga originates from Suryatal. Here river Chandra and Bhaga are forming a confluence, and this is the point Tandi in Himachal Pradesh, and then Chenab is flowing to the Pir Panjal mountain ranges and then flowing into Pakistan. These are the Pir Panjal mountains. So that was the flow of river Chenab. If we look into the important projects that are on Chenab, the first one and the most important, which is always in the news, is the Ratle project. Then Dulhasti project and the Salal project. Also, Baglihar project is located on river Chenab. So out of these four, this is the most important. Then let's come to river Ravi. Ravi is the names, other names for Ravi are Parushni and Iravati. So Ravi is originating from the Kulu Hills. Origin is from Kulu Hills. This is where Ravi originates from Kulu Hills, passes through Pir Panjal mountain ranges and Dhauladhar mountain ranges, crosses the India-Pakistan border, enters into Pakistan, flows through Lahore, and then joins Chenab. It is joining Chenab in Pakistan. And if we talk about important projects which are on Ravi, the Ranjit Sagar Dam is important. Then we come to river Beas. Beas is also called Vipissa or Argikia. Argikia means cord breaker, and it has some story related to it in Rig Veda. Will not go into it. So the source or origin of Beas river is the Beas Kund, and Beas Kund is in Rohtang Pass. Near Rohtang Pass, it is flowing through Punjab and then flowing in Pakistan. So Parbati is an important tributary of Beas river, and Beas is majorly flowing through Kulu hills. And this river has a population of Indus dolphins, which are endangered. If you can remember this, it will be good. If we talk about the projects on river Ravi, Pandol Dam is important, and the Shah Nair barrage. This was the first dam to be built on river Beas, and now Satluj Beas link is also important. We'll see that in short while. Let's come to river Satluj. So Satluj has its origin in Rakshastal. Let's take a different color. That also we have used. Satluj has its origin in, it is Rakshastal near Manasarovar. This is one another lake. So from there, in this Satluj originates in Rakshastal. It passes through Zanskar range and Greater Himalayas. It is entering Himachal Pradesh through Shipkila Pass. It is entering Himachal Pradesh. Then it is entering Punjab through Ropar Plains. So it is this is Punjab and Ropar Plains. Ropar wetlands is also located on river Satluj. Finally, Satluj is meeting river Beas at Harike. So this point where Beas meets Satluj is Harike. Beas is meeting Satluj. And then the combined river is flowing into Pakistan. At Panjad, all five rivers are combining: Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj, and then draining into the Arabian Sea. So, if we talk about projects on Satluj Beas link is important. I'll write it here: Satluj Beas link, the Bhakra Dam, which is on Satluj, and there's one another project, the Karcham Wangtu hydroelectric hydel project. Which is on Satluj. So that was it. We have seen five tributaries of river Indus here, which is Zanskar, Shyok, then Nubra, Hunza, and Gilgit. And here we have seen other five tributaries: Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Satluj. Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and here we have seen Satluj. So 10 important tributaries of river Indus we have seen. In next session, we'll see Ganga river and its tributaries.